Welcome to Board Game Homies, where a group of friends play, review, and share about all things board games. Sitting around the table today are
Reed, Becky,
Gillian,
and I'm Angela. Today we have our top 5 summer small box games, aka it's so hot I desperately want to start smelling pumpkin spice lattes. But first, what's bringing us joy?
Well, the other day I went into our local board game shop and found Daybreak used, and it was only $40, and I decided to pick it up. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and reading a lot about the game and thought it would be really interesting to try out. Daybreak is a cooperative game, which is a little bit different than what we normally play, but it seems to play kind of individually at the same time. And it is a game about saving the earth and our environmental action that kind of plays through and balancing different things. What are corporations doing? And what other things can you do to kind of create less of an environmental impact? And I'm really excited to play it.
Yeah, I've talked about this game, I think, before, and I'm really interested in it. And you ended up purchasing it before me, which I love a deal, so I'm very happy you did. But the theme of this game is very intense, and I appreciate that. They vetted it. The science is real-world science. Each of the cards have QR codes that you can scan and then actually see real things that are happening in the world. And so thematically, I really, really love that. I'm fascinated how the gameplay will go because I think it's kind of another tucking cards, big deck kind of game, and we've played a lot of those, but we haven't played a lot of co-op. So I'm just fascinated to see if we'll enjoy it, and I'm happy that it's in the collection communally so that I can play it and not spend my $40.
Yeah, I don't know much about this game aside from the fact that Angela was curious about it. Like, how do you win the game? Do you just collectively have to reach some threshold?
That is a good question. I don't know that, but I do know that a few people that I listened to said that they hadn't won the game yet.
No, I do.
After a couple plays.
I do love a difficult game, like Ghost Stories.
Yeah, and I think you can level up, too, so it has some replayability, like you can increase the difficulty. And I know there's some aspects of, you have to build certain things which cause carbon, but then you're getting rid of carbon, and so really thinking about how you could save the earth.
I love buying used games in general. I think it's a great way to have less of an environmental impact when you're buying board games. But I do have to say I was a little hesitant to see a very new game on the used shelf. Like, did people not like it? Or why was it there?
Yeah, and I would say with this game, I worry about something like this being a little too thematic. Like maybe this is a hit or a miss. So it very well could be a miss for our group, and co-op could be a thing we don't really enjoy playing.
The game I'm really excited for is Lisboa. It's a game that I recently purchased, largely motivated by the fact that Reed was going to buy it, and so I made the rush decision to buy it before she had a chance to. It's a game that I've been looking at for a very long time. Ever since Angela purchased Kanban EV, I've been very tempted to buy Lisboa, and so I ended up doing it recently, and I'm very excited to get to the table. We haven't played it yet, but the theme there has been very interesting. We spoke a little bit about it a couple weeks back, I believe. And it's a game where you're trying to help Lisboa recover after an earthquake. So you're trying to deal with fires, flooding, and rubble, and just going through there and using the aristocrats to help navigate that situation, rebuild the city. And it's a very beautiful game, as most Eagle Gryphon games are. And I'm very excited to get that table. And yeah, that's the one I'm most looking forward to.
Am I getting a reputation for sniping games because I grabbed Daybreak before Angela could, and you were scared about me buying Lisboa?
Yeah, I would say so.
I am happy and sad that you bought Lisboa. So on a personal level, Gillian's birthday present fell through, and my backup plan had been to force everybody to pitch in to get Lisboa. And then he was like, "Hey, is anybody getting me Lisboa?" No, okay, click, hit purchase. And I was like, no, of course not. So you have a different game coming, and this is just a word to the wise to not purchase games for a few weeks, which is like the hardest thing to ask Gillian to do until his present gets it.
And Reed.
Oh, gosh, golly.
Gillian and Reed.
I did go on a bit of a bender lately.
Do you know how worried I was you were going to buy the game that I got you for your birthday? I was like, guys, I think she's going to buy it. If she finds it, we're dead. So
I know. We had a long conversation. Like, when do we give Reed her presents? And do we tell her that she should not buy any board games? Like, how do we handle this? We just went with silence and wishing for the best.
It's a very interesting conversation because all of our birthdays were this summer, and all but Becky, I think, got board games or board game components in some capacity or upgrades. And I ended up buying the game we're going to talk about in this podcast for Angela. Becky and I bought it. We gave it to her a full month and a half in advance because we were scared she was going to find it eventually and go that route. And then similarly with Reed, Angela was afraid you were going to buy that game. And with Lisboa, it was interesting because I was glad I made the rush decision to do it because literally within the week, Reed got money from her family to buy a game, and I'm sure she would have bought Lisboa if I hadn't purchased it first. So it was, I felt the need.
Yeah, I definitely wanted you to make that investment, but then every time I went to any board game store that I saw that had Lisboa, I would pick it up and carry it around with me. Like, I might be doing this, and then my arms would get tired because the game is so heavy, and then I'd be like, I'm going to put this back and just wait for Gillian to buy it.
I love that.
Well, other than our birthdays giving us communal joy and being in a really privileged place to like be able to get your friend a board game, the game that is bringing me a lot of joy is a game that I bought on the used shelf, and then I really wanted another edition of it, so then I bought that copy new against my own wishes during a moment of madness. But the games in this series are called Clank and Clank Catacombs. So Clank I found on the used shelf for maybe $15. It was such a great deal, and it had been opened, but none of the pieces have been opened, so no one had played it, which was cool. Clank is kind of a deck building dungeon crawler game. And then Clank Catacombs is kind of a similar vein, except instead of having the map pre-done, you have these tiles that go out. And the Clank series is done by the same designer who did Dune Imperium and Dune Imperium Uprising, but he did Clank first, so I'm very excited. I also hear that the game just is funny, plays on fantasy tropes, and has fun but funny cards that go into the deck as well. So I like that. I like the Dungeons and Dragons world, and I like mashing up some pieces of it, and I hope to really enjoy it.
I'm excited to try both of those as well. Clank has been on my to play list for a very long time. Just nobody I knew owned it. Never saw it on the board game shelf at our local game store to play, free play. And we did play Clank in Space, which was the sequel, a spin-off of the original Clank. It's space-themed, as the title implies. And I really enjoyed the pop culture references on all of the cards. That was a joy to read through the cards and just discover, like, oh, that's definitely a Star Wars reference. Oh, it's a Star Trek reference. Oh, it's an Alien reference. And so it was really exciting to go through that. I don't recall too much about the actual gameplay, so I'm excited to try it again.
I'm also excited to try 3 different Clanks and see how they are similar and how they're different. I don't know if the space one or the Catacombs one came first, and I don't want any of you to tell me because I want to guess after we've played all 3.
Ooh, that's like a fun extra narrative of like when we play, you're like, this one is it.
Yes, and I was not planning that, but I just got really excited about it. I think you're all going to be surprised about the game that's bringing me joy. We recently played a 24-day game of Ark Nova on Board Game Arena. And that game, plus one that we recently played in person, kind of are bringing me joy because you all...
Guys, it's an audio medium, so
Our eyes are all bugging out of our heads right now.
Did you know this would be?
I had no clue.
Whenever I start talking and then I pause and start laughing, it's because of the faces I am having the faces that are looking at me around the table. But I have said this, these games are bringing me joy because you guys all joke about how much I hate this game, which is not my favorite, but I don't hate it. And those games, like, you guys have played so many Ark Nova games without me online, which is fine. And then you invite me and then I beat you. So it's like, haha, suckers. That's what you get for inviting me to your Ark Nova game.
Nerds.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're not wrong. I don't know if we told this story on the podcast, but we invited Becky to play Ark Nova in person. And I think that was me, Gillian, and Becky. And me and Gillian are sitting here after playing, quite a few Ark Nova games, being like, how far will Becky fall behind? Oh, gosh, golly, how will we help her? And then she utterly crushed us on science tags, but not in science tags badly like Reed did one time, but like good science tags. And it was like, holy crud. So I think the moral of the story is don't let your ego get in the way when playing Becky.
I love that.
Unless it's viticulture.
Today we'll be discussing our top 5 summer small box games. Coming in at number 5 is Sea Salt and Paper, a 2022 release that plays 2 to 4 players. It's designed by Bruno Cathala, and it's published by Bombyx. The art is by Theo Riviere. It costs about $14.95. There's also an expansion that costs about $5. Sea Salt and Paper is a small pocket game where you draw cards and play cards. You can match sets, you can do runs, and all of the art is done in this wonderful, colorful origami. A secret way to win the game is to collect all 4 mermaids before any of your opponents do. A neato Frito feature of the game is that at any point after you score 7 points, you can say stop and the round will end. Or you can say last chance and tempt your opponents into scoring more points than you. You can win big, but you can also lose big when you say last chance. I really love Sea Salt and Paper. It's a fun game that me and Ashton play all of the time. My win rate is atrocious, but I think it has an easy learning curve for when you want to play it with new people.
Yeah, Sea Salt and Paper's fun. I haven't played it as much as I thought I would. We kind of binged it a little bit when we first collectively got it into our collection, and I do enjoy it. And one thing I've learned in our playthroughs is I'm apparently the cutthroat player, because I played at lunchtime with Becky and Angela, and the game went by fairly fast. I left, they played another game, and lo and behold, they pretty much won in a single round because none of them would actually play cards.
No, the problem is we played way too many cards.
Oh yeah, you refused to say last chance or stop, so.
Yeah, my hand was looking amazing and Angela wasn't doing anything about it. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep adding to this really sweet hand. Maybe I'll win in one round.
Yeah, like one round went as long as the entire game with Gillian. A feature of the game is that if you get down to the last cards and you can't draw, neither player gets any points. So you don't want to get to that point either. So you kind of either speed up the game or you just say stop.
Well, it didn't work to my advantage because you got 1 point more than me because you were drawing as many cards as I was drawing. And so also your hand was getting really good.
Yeah, it was awesome. I just wanted to see where it was going to go. I also had 3 mermaids and I really wanted that 4th one. It's so hard to win by getting all 4 mermaids because the game mechanic is you draw 2 and then you have to keep 1, discard 1. And sometimes that works where you discard a mermaid because you've drawn 2 mermaids, as has happened to me. But it's really, really hard to get all 4 mermaids before the game ends. And twice it has happened to me that someone has gotten all 4 mermaids, and I'm just so jealous.
That is so exciting when it happens. Gillian got all mermaids once, and I just, like, you can't be mad. It's, wow, how did you do that?
Sheer luck.
Oh, I thought he was going to say sheer cheating, but I
No,
realized
that would be Becky.
Becky's grandma.
So I've played Sea Salt and Paper maybe twice, and I have won both times that I've played, which has been great. But what I don't love is that it is a 4-player game, and so often when we play, I will sit out so Ashton can take my spot. And I would say that if I really, really, really loved it, I might be like, oh, Becky, you sit out. Angela, sit out. Gillian, sit out. But no, it's a game. I love how it looks. I just don't enjoy the play as much. That was a bummer. I'm sorry.
No, and feel free to bump me anytime because I lose to Ashton so often. And one of the things when Ashton plays with all of us, her only goal is to beat Gillian. And so she loves playing Gillian, but she gets so intense about it because she doesn't want to lose to a man. And so she's like, how can I beat him? And then there's a lot riding on it for her.
I mean, it's a really good goal to beat Gillian. Like, I have to say that's like motivating in a lot of different ways.
I feel like I've been on a very long losing streak lately. So, yeah.
It's probably because you've been playing Ashton, and then you played me and Becky and crushed us.
I do appreciate that the card stock is thicker, so the cards have a little bit more weight to them. So like if you take it out to a restaurant or a pub, you're not as worried about damaging it, and it'll stay on the table longer if it's a little bit breezy than some of those thinner cards.
It's interesting you bring that up because I would say I'm not a fan of that component quality. Sure, the cards are thick, but they have a weird texture to them, and I don't think they really... And I don't think they'd stand up to water or moisture all that well. So I'm a little concerned about the longevity of the cards themselves without sleeves.
I was just going to say, because your copies are not sleeved, either of yours.
Yeah, because the box won't fit card sleeves.
Well,
sleeved cards, sorry.
Even though we don't have sleeves on them and they maybe won't hold up to water well, it hasn't been a problem. And I know Angela's copy has been a lot of places on a lot of tables. So that sounds like maybe a experiment.
Or that Angela's cards are rather promiscuous.
They've been on a lot of tables. But I think that's why we talked about our top 5 small box plays, is because these are games that you can take out and about into the world. And the price point on sea salt and paper isn't nothing, but I do feel like if I spill something on them, I'm kind of okay with that. I will say if you get the expansion and you put it in the box, you're gonna get box lift no matter what you do. You just can't get rid of it. And so maybe you need to put a rubber band about it. But I think this is a great pub game. It fits in your pocket, which is a delight. And the box is really hard. I don't especially love some of these Target releases where they have them in these flimsy boxes. Like when you used to, if you played like Uno as a kid, they came in that paper box that got really shredded after a while. And then you just had a rubber band around Uno cards. So I do love that the box is sturdy. I get what you mean about the cards, and I don't like that sleeves don't fit on them because they go visit lots of tables. But I do think the card stock is better for a good breeze that goes by. It's like other card games when a breeze goes by, we're like constantly like trying to like put our hands out and be like, please don't blow away cards. So I think that's a really fun part. And an essential quality of small box games for the summer is, can I take this to a winery and just hang out?
Okay, so our number 4 small box game for the summer is my personal favorite, a deck of cards, which is the standard 52 card deck that is apparently the French suited cards that are most commonly used now. Because these cards are so well known, I thought it'd be fun to pull out some info that I found while looking into the history of the cards. Playing cards arrived to Europe from Egypt around 1370 and were reported in France shortly thereafter. There were some 10th century references to dominoes and or cards in Chinese literature, and the same word refers to both, so we don't know, is it the same kind of standard way of card playing then? The first cards were hand-painted and considered luxury cards, with the development of woodblock printing in Germany in the early 15th century, and then by a stencil technique in France shortly after. The ability for easy duplication of cards spread, but required much simpler design, which then evolved into the French suits being much more like simple designs than had been previously, into the spades, clubs, hearts, and diamonds. We did play a game with the Swiss-German deck, which was absolutely beautiful. Becky and Gillian introduced that to me for the first time this weekend. And the suits are bells, acorns, shields, and flowers. One of the very interesting things that I found is that cards were used to be seen as scandalous and a bit seductive, and were considered to be more appealing to women. And for a period of time, that led to concern about their morality. Scandalous women with their cards.
Of course.
Another thing that I found thinking about the back of cards is that the first time that the cards were developed, they had blank backs. And so you could scuff up the cards, or maybe there's been a printing error where it got ink, so people could mark or count the cards a little bit easier, which is why they developed small dot or other types of patterns on the back of cards. I also tried to find out how many games you could play with a deck of cards, and I think it's ever evolving. Like, there's no real number. Some of my favorite cards to play are Cribbage, which also has a board, Spades, and Gin. And I love absolutely how accessible a deck of cards is, and that you can find one in almost any grocery store for under $5. And there are an array of games that a lot of people can pick up pretty easily.
I have a deck of cards in my purse. We haven't used it very often, but I feel like it makes sense to just have it because even though Cribbage has a board, you can play it with just paper. And I love Cribbage.
I think I mentioned this when you were talking about the game you were playing with your family a few weekends ago. What was that?
Euchre.
When you were talking about that, I was talking about how I grew up with gin rummy. But when you said deck of cards, it really resonated me back to my childhood because there were so many games I played. And I think I mentioned 13, but also something as simple as my grandma teaching me how to play solitaire was really impactful. And my brother and I sitting down to play War. And there are so many games you can play with a deck of cards that it reminds me of my childhood. And I don't have a lot of decks of cards. I think as I've moved throughout my life, they just get kind of tossed around. And so much so that I was looking for a deck of cards and I had to find the only thing I had was a Wonder Woman deck of cards that somebody put into a stocking. I'm sure because they were like, she likes comic books. I'll get her a Wonder Woman deck of cards, which you're like, I'm sure they're really cruddy and don't feel very nice. But that I kept. And so it really makes me want to get one of these like really beautifully painted decks that have exquisite cards in them because I'm so fascinated by the art component that can be brought into a deck of cards. When you're a kid, you just like ruin the edges and everything's like messed up and some of them are torn and you're like, I know you have the 2 because that's the torn card.
Yeah, the deck of cards is really interesting, and it's always fun to see a game come out using the 52 card deck. One that comes to memory that was released recently or that was developed recently is Regicide, and it was a hot game for a while when it first came out. And it just uses a 52 card deck, and they also sold their own kind of themed deck. Had the same 52 cards but had a unique artwork like goblins and stuff like that. I ended up buying it. Becky and I played it once or twice. Haven't picked it up since, but I want to get back to it after hearing you talk about this. So.
Yay. One of the things that I also found that I didn't mention earlier is that the original deck of cards, that the original like Western European deck of cards did not have a queen. It actually had a knight. And then the French borrowed the queen from the Italian tarot deck. And we're like, no, we want a queen in here. And I love that.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't imagine playing without the queen. It's so funny because when we were playing the game that Becky and Gillian taught us, and I was like, bells? What are bells? This feels so weird. So I could only imagine that playing without a queen would make me be like, what is even this deck? What's going on here?
The game at number 3 on our list is Azul, and in particular Azul Mini, which is the travel version of Azul. The original was published in 2017. The mini version was published in 2023, and the game plays 2 to 4 players. It was designed by Michael Kiesling, art by Philippe Guerin, and published by Next Move Games. Azul is an abstract tile placement game. In Azul, you take on the role of artisans who are trying to lay tiles, and you do so by drafting tiles from a shared market in the center of the table, or in the center of the board, if you will, and you take any number of colored tokens from a given market at a time, and any that are missing from that go to the floor, essentially, and somebody can pick those up as their own action instead of going to one of the individual markets. And then you put the tiles on your board. The goal of the game is to really score patterns of tiles on your personal board in a way that gets you the most points throughout the game. And at the end of the game, once somebody has completed a row of tiles on their personal board, the game end is triggered, and whoever scored the most points wins.
Azul is one of the first games that I think I got super obsessed with in like learning and to love board games, like contemporary board games.
Yeah, Azul is an interesting one because I remember when we first, I don't remember if we bought it ourselves initially, if we played it with somebody else first, but I remember thinking I wouldn't like it, and then I played it and I was just mesmerized. It's such a straightforward game. It's very beautiful. The the pieces in the original, the little tile squares, if you will, are very gorgeous in the original game. They're very chunky, very nice weight to them. They remind me of Starbursts. And the mini version also has those similar tiles, much smaller, admittedly. But one thing I do like about the mini version that makes it really nice for traveling is they have little indents in the back, and your personal boards have little pegs that you kind of put the discs on so they don't move around. And you have the little slider on the board to keep track of your victory points. And so those are really cool. I like the mini version for that aspect.
That slider is so much better than original Azul, where your little black token just like slides around all over the place because there's nothing holding it in the spot.
Angela introduced Azul to me when we did a board game weekend with our other board game group, and I really liked it. And Angela was like, hey, there's a mini version and a regular version, but they should both be in your collection. And so I bought both and then was just really irritated that I had this like mini version that I never took out or did anything with, and I only played the big version.
No, if I remember the story correctly from your lies, it's that me and Ashton said, buy the pocket edition because you can take it everywhere as opposed to Big Azul, which the box is much bigger, and Pocket Azul is like you can keep it in a bag. Everything fits very nicely. And then you bought the pocket version and you said, I hate it. I'm buying the regular sized version. And so the way the story ends is that I told you to buy one edition. You said, no, thank you. I hate this, and bought the other.
All right. So this means that I have a really bad memory. And I still really didn't like Mini Azul. But where that got me is that I've been carting around this big box wherever I go so I can play Azul on the go.
Yes, when there's literally a mini version for you to play. I love that. Ashton and I went to Astoria, which is where they filmed The Goonies here in Oregon. And we sat in a whiskey bar and played probably like 5 or 6 games of Azul all night long, just enjoying it. I really love the recessed boards for holding all of your components. I do think that is an upgrade over the big sized Azul. We played the regular edition just the other day and we were like, whoa, these tiles are so big. But I think it's just a really great game. I do think the scoring component is probably the biggest learning curve. And there's so much room to grow. I think the World Series of Board Gaming had the Azul tournament at 3 hours for those players because they were thinking about what every move was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this game should take you like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But maybe that's also because we're not really good at Azul.
Except for Becky.
Excuse me. There is a trophy down there that does not have my name on it, but that I won in an Azul tournament.
The gold.
Speaking of Azul Mini, there's a new version that just came out. So one of the sequels to Azul is Azul Summer Pavilion. There's a big box version of it, and they just released a mini version of it this year, actually. We haven't played it, but I presume it's very similar in that it has the recessed pieces and the pegs on the player boards. But just a note there that the Azul Summer Pavilion mini version is out as well.
I'm interested if I'll end up getting that one. Ash and I like Azul, so for Christmas I got her, well, I should say the dog, in quotation marks, got her Azul Summer Pavilion, and I think we played it once maybe as a group, and it didn't super resonate. It was a little confusing about how you scored, but we've been playing it a lot on Board Game Arena, Reed, Becky, and I. No offense, Gillian, didn't know if you loved it. It is definitely a unique take on Azul.
Yeah, actually, I, over the summer, ended up kind of thinking about that play. We only played once, and I think the scoring component is very difficult. You don't score on your own board. You score on a communal board, and it just seemed a little bit tedious because you have to take turns in order to potentially select a tile from the common middle place area. And so scoring ended up being more of a chore, I would say, in Summer Pavilion, but I was thinking about the play and really liked it. My mom and I play Azul all the time, and so over the summer I picked up Summer Pavilion and have proceeded to cart around the big box of that with me wherever I've gone, and so I am kind of tempted at this point by a smaller version.
What?
I know. I'm sorry, Angela.
No, it'll still be your fault, Angela.
Full circle. Full circle. Which one should I get? Oh, I hate the one you recommended.
That I had 2, and I don't remember why.
Yeah, then I think you bought another copy of Azul, and we were like, why'd you buy that copy? And you're like, I just hand them out. I just hand Azul
I do.
copies
It's
out.
such a good game. So my friend came to visit from Texas, and I had an unopened copy that I think I got on super sale, like under $30. And so I gifted it to him, and, you know, he really loves Azul.
Gillian and I almost got rid of Azul once, and then we played it, and we were like, no, we love this game. And since then, I don't see this leaving our collection. We do have the mini version in the car, which we played it a few days ago, and there's a tray for the market because everything is smaller, which I think is necessary, but it is bent on the corner, and I think part of it is because I'm kind of reckless and like, this will be fine. I'm not worried about it. So it's a bag in the car that just kind of floats around.
Yeah, I would say the only thing that I really want to do is that I never punched out the factory tiles, which are the circles that the tiles lay on. I never punched those, and I just kind of kept it so that it would fit nicely, so I wouldn't feel like I would lose one of the factory tile floors. And eventually they popped out on their own, gosh golly, but that is something I would actually laminate so that they could be a little bit more durable. Not that you need to have the circles, but you can just put them in piles. It just feels less glamorous.
Yeah, I had the tiles out as I was playing, and somebody that was not playing but was at the same table as me thought it was a coaster. And that was really tragic. And I was like, oh, no. But it was okay. It's okay.
A board game horror story.
The second game on our list is Love Letter. It was first released in 2012, published by Z-Man Games, designed by Seiji Kanai. Love Letter has 20 different editions, give or minus like 10. I don't know. There's so many. The one that we play the most is Love Letter Batman and Love Letter Adventure Time, because I had that one for a board game group for kids. But Love Letter is a game for 2 to 4 players. It is played over several rounds until one player has won 4 rounds, though some versions, like the Love Letter Batman, it requires 7 tokens to win. There are 16 cards with numbers 1 through 8. Some of the cards have multiples and a few only have 1 copy. So essentially, you always have 1 card, and on your turn, you draw another card and you play one of those. You are trying to be the last person standing per round to earn a victory token, or by having the highest number compared to the rest of your competitors still in the round. Then once you get to 4 or 7, you've won the game. And I was looking at the box. I think it's supposed to take 20 minutes, but our games have been taking like 40 minutes because we've just been having such a great time, and somebody's about to win, and then everybody else storms up to those 3 points or those 6 points, and then it's like anybody could win.
I would say this is one of the few really luck-based games that I really, really enjoy. And it has to do with just how specifically with this group, just how it really fosters joy and laughter, and I really enjoy that, whether it be Reed sleeving the cards incorrectly, upside down, right side up, a mix, or just Reed forgetting about who had the Joker, even though she just looked at a person's hand, had the Joker, or Reed mocking me for not having enough points, and then I stormed back and just about won the game. So there's a lot of laughter to be had.
I feel like that's just a lot of laughing at Reed and not necessarily because of the game.
It's definitely with Reed is laughing too.
I would say that Love Letter is like my love language when it comes to playing a game. I feel like it is one of the only games that we are like no holds barred, just banter like throughout, like without abandon and with abandon. Anyway, it's great.
This is a game that is one of the first ones I started playing with teenagers. And what I like about it is it's a version of deduction, right? You're trying to figure out what the other card is that somebody has, and you can only do that by analyzing the data that's at the table. So one of the cards in the deck is put to the side, so there's always some sort of like you can't totally figure out because that card could be hidden, but you're looking at what people play and you have this little reference card and you're just trying to check, okay, have we played 5 ones yet? Does somebody have a 2 in their hand? Because every one of the cards does something a little bit special, which then allows you to deduce something. But it's also a bluffing component and a figuring out component. And I have really moved away from deduction games, but this one brings me so much joy, and I haven't played it in so long. And then Reed had a terrible tragedy happen, and Becky was like, here's a game we never play anymore, and kind of just, I think, pawned it off. And then we just started playing it. I think it's one of our most played games for the summer, and while it is older, it is full of so much joy.
Well, except the first time, because you and Becky came over to my house to deliver a whole like slew of games as I was dealing with like recovering my life and board game collection, and you all brought me a bunch of games to borrow. And then Gillian couldn't make it, and we were allowed to play a game if we didn't have too much fun. So we were like looking at each other very straight faced, trying to be like super bummed out because Gillian couldn't be there. But that game was so fun. I mean, not that play. It was a horrible play, Gillian. Horrible. It was so boring.
I just love it because one of the cards is called the Companion, and your mom wanders over and goes, I want to see the Companion card. And it's based on Adventure Time, the cartoon TV show. And she just was so nice and nodded at us. This like, okay. And I was like, I don't think she knows who that is.
Well, she was concerned if I got my Companion because I was using the one which lets you guess what somebody has to knock them out. And so I kept asking about companions, and she was like, did you get your Companion? I want to see them.
I do play it with her a lot.
Does Berks enjoy playing it?
He actually really loves playing it, and we played it a lot. And he actually likes Power Hungry Pets a little bit more because he likes the artwork and the cats and the pets. And Power Hungry Pets is very, very similar. It just adds like a couple of cards that allow you to reshuffle, and maybe something that does, there's like a card that if you get it, it can beat the highest level card, and then another card that you get that if you have it, it's a little bit like the Hero and the Wizard where you have to like discard one of them at some point. I maybe got those cards wrong.
Something I find interesting about this game that wasn't until this year back in my, I would say, regular rotation of games, and now I'm like, I'm down to play a game of Love Letter anytime, any place, is that because so many different kind of licenses have picked up this game, that the game goes out of print. So we just talked about the Batman edition, but you can't find that on a shelf somewhere. You have to buy it on the secondary market. And the Adventure Time theme you can't find anymore. So the 2 versions I think that are in more regular rotation right now, there's a Bridgerton version, and then there's a Princess version based off of the graphic novel. But just the fact that you can't get Love Letter Batman makes me so sad, because I enjoy this you get little Batman tokens, and I like that it tweaks it just a smidge, only a little bit, because if Batman, you're able to, as Batman, figure out what card somebody else has, no matter what kind of card it is. If you're like, hey, do you have Catwoman? And it's Catwoman, you get like an extra token. And I like the fun spontaneity when someone guesses right and you're like, oh gosh golly, he got it. You can just get extra tokens. So it makes me happy, and I'm bummed.
I do have to say that with the Adventure Time being the first one that I played and have played it more, every time we play the Batman version, I'm always like, do you have the princess? Like, I just can't give up that.
Because it changes, right? So because they reskin it, in Batman Love Letter, it's the Joker. And in Adventure Time, it's the princess. And so you kind of fall in love maybe with that version of Love Letter.
I do think a lot of the versions are princess. The first 2, the one that has a Japanese theme and the one that's like medieval themed, those ones are princesses. And you're trying to get love letters to the princess. And so I also really like the Batman one because there's not a princess and you're just taking down bad guys.
I think it's the only DC themed game.
I think that says more about DC than anything else, unfortunately. Not good licensing. That's what that says. Our number 1 game on our top 5 summer small box games is a little bit of a grail game for me. A grail game is a game that you spend your kind of like life looking for. It's something you've always wanted, but it's not as easy to find as just going to the board game shop or finding it at Target. It's something that's just a little bit trickier to find. So it's kind of like your grail game. Once you find it, you're like, oh gosh golly, I've done it. Yay. And I was super delighted that I got this game, which I had been talking a bit for a while, on my birthday, or as Gillian said, a month and a half before my birthday, so I wouldn't find it. And that game is Nana. It's the Japanese word for 7, and this game was reproduced. It's also called Trio in the United States, originally published in 2021. The original game plays 2 to 5 players. It's designed by Kaio Miyano, art by Sai Beppu, and it's published by Mob Plus. You can find it somewhere on the Ethernet of the internet for $25 plus some shipping, but you can also find the American version Trio for $15. Trio has more of a Day of the Dead aesthetic, but I gotta say, one of the things that really drew me to this game was the cute, adorable Japanese edition characters. You have everything from wolves to pigs to Shiba Inu dogs. It's super cute. I would say if you can find it, get the $25 version. So, how do you play this grail game that I love so much? It's a game where you try and find 3 pairs. Now, the first win condition is you collect 3 1s or 3 2s. The other condition is if in those pairs that you collect, the total, plus or minus, equals 7. So you've collected all of the 3 sets. You've collected all of the 3s. That's one set. And then you collect all of the 4s. That's another set. 3 plus 4 equals 7, i.e. the title, Nana, is Japanese for 7. It would be the same thing if you collected the 10s and the 3s. When you subtract the 2, you get 7. So you can tell that 7 is a pretty special number in this game. The other way that you can win is by collecting one single magical gold foil set of 7s, also known as the Golden Pigs. Well, why wouldn't you just collect the 7s? What makes this game so interesting? In front of you is a communal set of cards face down. And on your turn, you'll be able to ask your opponents, show me your lowest card or show me your highest card. Once they show that to you, you can go ahead and ask somebody else, or you can look into the middle of the pile. You're looking for a matching card. So I would turn to the next player and say, show me your lowest card. If they matched, I would get one more chance to find that elusive number. The hard part is, if somebody shows you a 1 and somebody else shows you a 2, turns over and you gotta move along to the next person. This can get tricky when somebody's highest card is blocking in other cards like a 9 or a 10. So the 7 is really special because in the set 1 through 12, 7 is right in the middle. So most often you're never going to know where the 7s are because it's never going to be somebody's highest card or somebody's lowest card, which is why you only need to collect one set if you're lucky enough to have the right positions. Guys, why are we so in love with Nana?
This game is so cute. I can barely stand it. I love the colors. I love the animals. They're all tiny. The little hedgehog. There's like confetti and squiggles and swirls, and it's just so cute.
Becky's crying right now.
Basically.
So you could play this with a regular deck of cards if you didn't want to purchase either version. You could use this because they're just 3 numerical cards.
Reed, is this you trying to make number 4 fetch? You can't.
No, but what I'm saying,
Deck of cards isn't fetch.
Okay. Okay. Maybe the Swiss one is. The cards are too cute. Like, it's just like, I wouldn't want to play that way. Like, I just want to look at these cute little cats and penguins.
I will say this is the first memory game I think I've played in quite some time, and it's the first one that I've ever really been taken with. And it says a lot. And I would say a single round can go by pretty fast, within 5 minutes generally. So you can play a lot of rounds in a single sitting. And so we did just that this weekend. I think we've played like well over 10 at this point. At least the 3 of you have. I've played about 10.
Much more than that.
I think if we played a day, we're at 20 in like 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah, that just speaks to how addicting it is, too.
And talking about it, I'm like, can we play it like as
I know,
soon as
like
we're
right
done?
now.
Yeah, like let's go.
We actually don't finish this podcast. It's just us playing this game. I did want to say, like, isn't Love Letter a memory game? But maybe that's just for me.
It does have some memory aspects for sure. Trying to remember what you asked people for and if they said no. And
There's so much in this game that's like the kind of the seeking of cards out of the middle. There's also like this like bluffing kind of component where you can, instead of asking another player, you can ask the same player if they have, like, you can keep going for the same player, and you really want to get pairs in your hands. It's very unlikely to get a set, but I think we've done that a couple times too, where you can just be like, what's your lowest card? What's your lowest card? And it can be the same number, and that helps you a lot.
it is so satisfying when I have, say, the 1 and I tell Angela to play her lowest card. And then I look at the table and then I say, Angela, play your lowest card. And it's another 1. And then I get to play mine and they're all mine. But I had no reason to believe Angela had 2 1s, but it's a vibe.
There's also a lot of like information gathering that if you said, Angela, play your other lowest card or your next lowest card, if it was like 4, that's still really interesting information to get. Or you also might have a 2 in your hand.
Yeah, and speaking to the memory component, that's really interesting is the shared pool in front of you. You could flip a card in the middle of the pack and, oh, it's a 3. Then it comes back to your next turn. You flip over the 2 other 3s from somebody else's hand, and then you have to remember where you saw the 3 in the middle of the board. And that is an interesting component. And there have been several times where I've been burned, seeing other people get burned by them not remembering where it is amongst those central cards. And so that's where the memory component comes in. It's always fun when that happens. When it comes down to, oh, I need to flip this and I win, or if I flip it, I lose and Angela's going to steal the win.
Yeah, I think the memory component is so much like Love Letter. The data is face up in front of you, and so you're using deduction based on the data that is continually growing. But in Nana, while the information is there, how much of it have you retained? And if there are 9 communal cards in the center, once you flip it over, you have to flip it back over. So you're trying to remember what is Becky's lowest card, but also what is Reed's highest card, and also what the heck does Gillian have going on over there, and what are these 4 cards we've revealed from the center. And it's so much trying to put it all together. And I think one of the best feelings is when you actually don't have a card, but you've sussed out where the numbers are because of they're in other people's hands. And so you don't actually have a 1, but you know that there's a 1 in the center and that Reed has a 1. And maybe it was Becky that had that other 1. And so you get to claim it without getting rid of your own card. And you're like, haha, I am the smartest person out there. And watching it slip away when the next person goes, haha, you've missed it. Like, I think there's a lot of communal joy vibes from watching someone suffer and you benefiting from it. You're like, this is great.
I missed the moment where Reed got up in frustration because she didn't win a single game of Nana. And so I'm sad I missed that moment.
I don't know if it was like really frustration, but I was just like determined from then. I was like, no, we're playing this still. Like, I need to play it. And then Becky and I don't track stats. And so I think I played like 14 games the first time. And then maybe it was the 15th game that I won, but it was against neither of you. And so it's like, it didn't count because it's not documented anywhere. So I don't know if I've actually won a game of this. Did I win yesterday?
Yeah, I think you've won 1 of the 25 games we've played, so it's climbing.
I think I'm good at this game, which is really weird. I'm just like almost really good at this game. That doesn't count.
I think the statistics say you're bad at this game, actually.
In my head, I'm really good. I'm like, no, I'm gonna get it this time, and then somebody else does.
I think this game speaks to a level of fun and joy, and it's not that it's rare, because I think it does happen to our group, but I've been carrying this game around. My birthday was in July, so I think I got it maybe late June, and we've just played it because we had to figure out how to play it, and I don't know that the instructions are well written enough for me to understand, or that I'm just not very bright, but we finally played it, and I think it was maybe after Gillian had left, just Becky and Reed trying to figure out how they could also purchase it. And you could go to the store, you could buy Trio. It's probably at your local board game shop, but both of them were like, heck no. And so they were scouring the internet to find this edition. And a game that resonates where everyone goes, oh, I have to have this, I think makes it a perfect game and such a perfect small box game.
Reed did order 2 copies for us, and I came home because Gillian had left early, and I also found out that Gillian had it in his cart.
It was so good. It's so good. Angela, thank you for introducing this to us. Gillian and Becky, thank you for finding it for the first time. It is amazing.
We were so worried you were going to find it at the trick-taking convention. We're like, that's why we had to give it to you early.
And it was there. Somebody had brought a copy to play, but we didn't end up playing it. And I learned about this game originally, I think a year ago, maybe, on a podcast. And then I've watched some YouTubers talk about it and really been obsessed with trying to find the Japanese edition. But Japanese shipping at the time that I was looking at it was really cost prohibitive. It would have made the game like, I think because it was out of print for a while, like $75. And I just was like, it's like not that many cards in a cute box. I can't do it. But there is a new Grail game that's a spin-off of this, which is Nana Christmas, which I had heard about a little bit ago. And then Becky texted and was like, there's a Christmas edition.
Oh, it was me because I was getting ready to put Nana in my Board Game Geek list or whatever ranking as a 10, of course. And then it was like, which one do you mean? Do you mean the Christmas version or the regular version? And while I'm not super into themes, I'm just like, it's cute. There's gonna be reindeer.
Oh my god, so cute. Thank you for listening to Board Game Homies. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and drop us a line for your free podcast sticker at Instagram at Board Game Homies or email us boardgamehomies@gmail.com. Bye. I love getting to the end being like, which of these crap outtakes is the end of the episode?
You have too many. I'm sorry. I really struggled in the beginning of this.
I can't help you and redo your parts. It's low stakes podcast. You just have to say words about the game you like and fine.